Some of the coolest, most unique cars almost disappeared forever, never to be seen or heard of again. These cars were way ahead of their time, but slipped through the cracks. These vehicles pushed the boundaries of design and performance, yet faded into obscurity. So here are 4 most rare and forgotten cars that you maybe never heard before. The Ginetta G21 is a fascinating sports car that was created by Ginetta Cars, a British company founded by the Wauchlet brothers back in 1958. These guys were total car nuts and loved engineering, which led them to start their company in Woodbridge, Suffolk. At first, they focused on making kit cars for racing and sports use, and they had a lot of success with models like the G4 in the early 1960s. This helped establish Ginetta as a company that could build lightweight, high-performance sports cars that could really compete on the track. But by the late 1960s, things were changing in the car world. People weren't just looking for raw performance anymore. They also wanted cars that were comfortable and could be used for everyday driving. Ginetta saw this trend and decided to expand their lineup beyond the basic kit cars and racing machines they were known for. That's how the G21 was born. It was supposed to be a fully built, road-going sports car that could take on the big brands while still keeping Ginetta's signature lightweight, performance-focused style. The G21 was a big step forward for Ginetta in terms of design and engineering. Unlike their earlier models, it had a front-engine, rear-wheel drive layout, which was different from the rear-engine setup used in the G15. The chassis was a tubular steel space frame, which was strong but still lightweight. On top of that, they used a fiberglass body, which was a pretty innovative choice at the time. Fiberglass was light and easy to work with, making it perfect for a sports car like the G21. When it came to engines, Ginetta offered 2 main options for the G21. The first was a 1.75-liter 4-cylinder engine that came from the Roots Group, specifically the Sunbeam Rapier. The second was a bigger 3.0-liter Ford Essex V6 engine. This gave buyers a choice between different levels of performance. The 4-cylinder engine could put out around 85 horsepower, while the V6 could crank out up to 137 horsepower. This made the G21 pretty competitive in terms of speed and acceleration. One of the coolest features of the G21 was its all-independent suspension system. This was pretty advanced stuff for the time, and it gave the car amazing handling. The independent suspension, combined with the lightweight build, made the G21 a blast to drive. It was agile and comfortable at the same time, which was a big deal for a sports car back then. Inside, the G21 was a lot more comfortable than Ginetta's earlier models. It had a nice interior with comfy seats for 2 people, and you could even get a 2+2 setup if you wanted. Unlike the bare-bones interiors of older Ginettas, the G21 came with some extras to make driving more enjoyable. This included a radio, which was a big deal considering that a lot of sports cars at the time were all about performance and didn't bother with creature comforts. Even though the Ginetta G21 had a lot going for it, the car faced some challenges that limited how many were made. Between 1970 and 1974, only about 80 units were built. A big reason for this was the 1973 oil crisis. When fuel prices shot up, people started losing interest in sports cars, which were seen as gas guzzlers compared to other types of vehicles. On top of that, Ginetta was a small company with limited resources. It was tough for them to compete against bigger, more established brands that had more marketing muscle and better distribution networks. The niche market that Ginetta was targeting with the G21 was also pretty small, which made it even harder to sell a lot of cars. Despite these challenges, the G21 made a lasting impression on the people who got to experience its combination of performance and practicality. Today, the Ginetta G21 is a rare and collectible classic car. Because of its limited production run and the fact that many of the original units haven't survived in good condition, it's pretty hard to find. Enthusiasts and collectors value the G21 for its unique combination of performance, engineering, and design. Well-preserved examples are highly sought after and can fetch a pretty penny in the classic car market. The G21's legacy is also important in the story of Ginetta's history. It represents a key moment in the company's evolution from a maker of kit cars to a manufacturer of fully built sports cars. The lessons learned from the G21's development and production influenced later Ginetta models and helped shape the direction the company would take in the future. Even though it was only made for a short time, the G21 is still a shining example of Ginetta's ability to innovate and compete in the tough sports car market. The Bristol 412. Produced by Bristol Cars, a company with a rich history which was born out of the Bristol Aeroplane Company in 1945. After World War II, they needed to branch out, and that's when they teamed up with Fraser-Nash to create cars based on BMW designs. This collaboration gave birth to the Bristol 400, a luxurious car that set the standard for the brand's future. As time went on, Bristol started using American V8 engines in the 1960s, which gave their cars a serious boost in performance. This combination of British craftsmanship and American muscle became Bristol's signature style. At the core of Bristol's philosophy was the idea of creating custom, handmade cars for a select group of customers. They weren't interested in mass production like other car companies. Instead, they focused on quality, exclusivity, and attention to detail. This approach allowed them to carve out a unique spot in the car industry, appealing to people who wanted something special and one of a kind. Even as the car world changed, Bristol Cars stuck to their guns, making a small number of meticulously crafted vehicles each year. And in 1975, Bristol introduced the 412, which was a big departure from their previous models. Designed by the Italian coach builder Zagato, the 412 had a unique Targa-style roof, which was rare for luxury cars at the time. This meant you could take off the roof panel and store it in the trunk, giving you the best of both worlds, open-air driving and the sturdiness of a closed coupe. The first versions of the 412 had a big 6,556cc Chrysler B-Series V8 engine under the hood, which gave it some serious get-up-and-go. But in 1977, they downsized the engine to a 5,899cc V8 to make it more fuel-efficient and lighter, which also meant they had to tweak the front suspension. Inside, the 412 was all about luxury. It had leather seats, wood-grain dashboards, and top-notch heating and cooling systems designed by the same engineers who worked on the Concorde. The suspension was set up for a smooth, comfortable ride rather than sporty handling. All these features made the 412 a great car for long road trips in style and comfort. But the 412's unique look wasn't for everyone, which made it rare and highly collectible. And speaking of rare, only 98 Bristol 412s were made over 18 years. Each one was custom-built to the buyer's exact specifications, so no two were alike. This level of customization, combined with the low production numbers, makes the 412 a hot commodity among collectors. Many of these cars have been lovingly maintained or restored to their original glory, which only adds to their value. Nowadays, a well-kept Bristol 412 can easily fetch between £40,000 and £50,000. That's a testament not just to the car's rarity, but also to its enduring appeal and the craftsmanship that went into every single one. The Bristol 412 also had some notable variants like the Beaufighter and the Beaufort. Introduced in 1982, the Beaufighter was a turbocharged version of the 412, named after the Bristol Beaufighter aircraft from World War II. It had a Rotomaster turbocharger bolted onto the engine, which gave it a serious power boost and made it one of the fastest Bristols ever made. They also upgraded the transmission and drivetrain to handle all that extra power. With a top speed of 150 miles per hour, the Beaufighter showcased Bristol's engineering chops. But with only around 20 units made, it's incredibly rare and sought after by collectors. Later on, Bristol introduced the Beaufort, which was a true convertible designed mainly for the European market. Unlike the 412's Targa roof, the Beaufort had a fully automated convertible top, giving you the full open-air experience. It also had a bigger fuel tank, so you could cruise around Europe without having to stop for gas all the time. The Beaufort was even rarer than the Beaufighter, which only added to its exclusivity. These variants show how Bristol was always innovating and adapting their designs while staying true to their core values of luxury and exclusivity. Now, looking back at Bristol Cars' legacy, it's clear that their success was built on a dedication to engineering excellence and exclusivity. They managed to switch from making airplanes to making cars, which set the stage for their unique approach to car building. When they started using Chrysler V8 engines in the 1960s, it was a game-changer that boosted their cars' performance and reliability. This decision played a key role in shaping models like the 412 and its variants. The 1960 Panhard PL17, a truly unique French car. Made by Panhard et Levasseur, one of the oldest car companies in the world, started way back in 1887. They were known for being innovative, like when they came up with the Système Panhard in the late 1800s, which set the standard for how we design cars today with the engine in the front and rear-wheel drive. Fast forward to 1954, and they introduced the Dyna Z, a super lightweight car with a body made from a special aluminum-magnesium alloy. It was designed by Louis Bionier and had a really futuristic look. The only problem was that aluminum got too expensive. So by 1955, Panhard had to switch to steel, which made the car heavier and more costly to make. This put a big financial strain on the company, and Citroën ended up buying a 25% stake in Panhard, which they later turned into full ownership by 1965. In 1959, Panhard launched the PL17 as an evolution of the Dyna Z. It kept the sleek design but used steel bodies to save money. The PL17's design was all about being aerodynamic and practical. They did a bunch of wind tunnel testing to get the shape just right, and it paid off with a really low drag coefficient of 0.26, which was incredible for the time. This not only made the car more fuel efficient, but also gave it better stability and performance at high speeds. Under the hood, you'd find an 848cc flat-twin engine, which was an upgraded version of the one in the Dyna Z. Even though it was small, this air-cooled boxer engine was cleverly designed and could put out up to 50 horsepower in the Tigre version. Plus, the engine's low center of gravity helped make the car more agile and fun to drive. The PL17 could hit a top speed of 90 miles per hour, making it one of the quickest small cars back then. Inside, the PL17 was roomy and practical, with space for 6 people. The flat floor and bench seats made the most of the interior space, which was a big plus for a compact car. The dashboard had a cool, futuristic style, with a big binnacle that held all the important controls and gauges. And if you needed extra room for luggage, you could just remove the rear bench seat. But even with all these great features, the PL17 had some tough challenges that led to its decline. For one, its unconventional design appealed to car enthusiasts but didn't click with the average consumer. Many people preferred more traditional cars from other brands. Plus, using both aluminum and steel in the construction made it expensive and tricky to maintain. As aluminum got pricier, switching to steel made the car heavier and less efficient, which also drove up production costs and made it harder for Panhard to keep their prices competitive. To make matters worse, Panhard was a small, independent car maker in an industry that was quickly consolidating. The partnership with Citroën helped at first by giving them access to a bigger distribution network and financial support, but eventually Citroën took full control and discontinued the PL17 along with other Panhard models. One of PL17's achievement was its win at the 1961 Monte Carlo Rally added to its legacy and made it even more desirable to collectors. But its rarity also comes from the fact that it's not very well known, and it can be challenging to maintain such a unique vehicle. Spare parts are hard to find, and you need specialized knowledge to service these cars, which limits the number of well-kept examples out there. The Stutz Blackhawk. A luxury car that captured the hearts of the elite and famous, has a fascinating history that began with the revival of the Stutz Motor Company. The Stutz Motor Company, founded in 1911, made a name for itself through its early successes in the Indianapolis 500. Models like the Stutz Bearcat became icons of American automotive engineering in the early 20th century. Despite its early triumphs, Financial difficulties and changing market dynamics led to the company's closure in the mid-1930s. Fast forward to the late 1960s, and the Stutz brand was revived by James O'Donnell, a New York banker with a passion for classic cars. O'Donnell wanted to bring back the grandeur of the Stutz name by creating a luxury car that could compete with the most prestigious brands of the time. He partnered with Virgil Exner, a renowned automotive designer known for his bold and innovative designs that often incorporated elements of classical architecture and Art Deco. Exner's vision for the Stutz Blackhawk was to create a car that combined the opulence of pre-war luxury automobiles with modern performance and technology. The first Stutz Blackhawk prototype was completed in 1969 and debuted in 1970, immediately garnering attention for its unique design and luxurious features. The Blackhawk series quickly became a symbol of exclusivity and craftsmanship. The 1976 Stutz Blackhawk 6 continued this tradition of bespoke luxury and meticulous craftsmanship. Each Blackhawk was hand-built in Italy by Carrozzeria Padane, ensuring that no two cars were exactly alike. This approach added to the car's allure and rarity, making it highly sought after by collectors and enthusiasts. The blend of American engineering and Italian craftsmanship appealed to those who valued both performance and opulence. When it comes to design, the 1976 Stutz Blackhawk 6 was in a league of its own. The car's exterior, spearheaded by Virgil Exner, featured a long hood, prominent freestanding headlamps, and a spare tire that protruded through the trunk lid. These design elements were reminiscent of the grand luxury cars of the pre-war era, but with modern touches that created a distinctive and bold look. The interior of the Blackhawk, featuring 24-karat gold-plated trim, hand-carved wooden accents made from bird's-eye maple or burled walnut, and seats upholstered in Connolly leather. The dashboard and trim pieces were meticulously crafted, with bilingual instrument markings in both English and Italian, adding an international flair to the car's interior. The Blackhawk was also equipped with advanced features that were ahead of its time, including automatic headlamp controls with twilight sensors, bi-level automatic air conditioning, superlift air-adjustable shock absorbers, a safe T-track limited slip differential, and an electric sunroof. Other features included cruise control, central locking, a burglar alarm, non-functional exhaust side pipes, and a high-end Learjet AM/FM 8-track quadraphonic sound system. Under the hood, the Blackhawk 6 was powered by a 7.5-liter V8 engine sourced from General Motors, providing the car with impressive power and smooth acceleration. The combination of American muscle and Italian craftsmanship made the Blackhawk a unique blend of performance and luxury, while the use of a GM powertrain ensured reliability. The Blackhawk's limited production and high level of customization ensured that each car was unique and tailored to the preferences of its owner. The use of Italian craftsmanship in the car's construction added to its allure, combining the best of American and European automotive traditions. The Blackhawk was also a response to the changing landscape of the luxury car market in the 1970s, meeting the growing demand for cars that offered both performance and luxury. The 1976 Stutz Blackhawk 6 is considered a rare and collectible car for several reasons. First, its limited production numbers, with only around 500 Blackhawks produced from 1971 to 1987, made each one a rare find. Second, the Blackhawk was one of the most expensive cars of its time, with a base price of $47,500 in 1976, which is approximately $254,000 in today's dollars, ensuring that only a select few could afford to own one. The Blackhawk was also a favorite among celebrities and wealthy individuals, with notable owners including Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, and Evel Knievel. Presley's endorsement of the car helped cement its status as a symbol of luxury and exclusivity. And the car's blend of American and Italian craftsmanship, along with its high price and limited production, ensured that it remained a symbol of luxury and exclusivity for decades.